Okay guys, welcome back to what's this, part 3 I think we're at now, aren't we? Where did we leave it? So we left it with low compression on cylinder number 2, and I went away for several cups of tea and half a packet of chocolate hobnobs and had a bit of a think on what we're going to do. So in all good conscience, I can't do anything now to this bike that's going to add anything to the customer's bill. So really what you would do in a purely sort of commercial sense is you'd put it all back together, you'd say sorry once the cylinder head and barrel's taken off it, and you know, we've got to investigate low compression. But for the sake of the video and sort of free of charge from a customer's point of view, we're going to just carry on a bit, because this thing, let me get these plugs where we can see these on camera, what my camera's going to do. But this thing is bloody richer than Elon, honestly, on all 4 cylinders, and the low compression on number 2 doesn't account for the rich condition across the board. So I just want to, given the work I've done to the carbs, I've got a new set of plugs in it. I'm going to balance the carbs as best as they'll balance, clean the air filter, let's put it all back together, and let's do another road test with the it's late, sorry, my brain isn't working, with a AFR meter on the tank, and let's just see where we are, and then that'll be it for this video, because there's no point in going around the houses trying to adjust carburation and, you know, and fighting with it to get it right. I'm just interested purely from the sort of conclusion of the video, if you like, just to see what it runs like with the AFR and stuff, with the carbs cleaned. So that's what we're going to do. Got me vacuum gauges, me good old trusty Morgan carb tune hooked up here. Get some fuel to it, and let's balance the carbs, clean the air filter, put it back together, and then let's road test. Top tip, guys, so when you're taking plugs out of any motorbike really, but particularly these old Yamahas, because these were famous for it, make sure you get a good air lining around the spark plugs, and if necessary get your peepers down there with a mirror or a little camera or something. Make sure there's no grit or rubbish around the spark plugs, because they were, yeah, lots of these engines have been fucked by people taking spark plugs out and letting bits of stone and grit drop down inside them. So yeah, good old clean out before the plugs come out. Okay guys, so as a bit of a reminder, I've got these carbs set back to standard now. So if you remember, they were nearly 4 turns out on the idle screws. They're now back at 2.5. I just literally didn't start it on camera, but I've just started it and it's not happy at all. Sounds like it's on 3 cylinders, and the carbs are massively out of balance. Let's try and adjust them, get it onto 4 cylinders, and yeah, it sounds terrible. It sounds worse than before I took the carbs off for some reason. Stand by. Okay guys, all buttoned up, airbox is back on. It's got the usual problem that these old bikes have, in that the rubbers from the airbox to the carburetors are absolutely rock hard. It's on there as best as I can get it, but effectively the fuel tank's going to be holding the airbox down. It just, yeah, it's one of them. You know what I mean, I'm sure. Air filter's washed and clean. Yeah, we're nearly there. Get the tank on. Let's run it up, get my camera and stuff set up, and see what it's like to ride now. Another quick update. An hour has passed and it's still on the bench, and it's been apart again, and it's now going back together. I've got my arse out with this thing. So I got the tank on, I got it out on the yard, and it was worse ticking over than it was. It seemed to rev cleaner, but it was worse ticking over than it was before I took the carbs off. I was like, there's something really not right here. Anyway, got it back on the bench. Long story short, dicking around, number 3 cylinder was, I was looking at the header, I'm sorry I didn't film it, but I'm just trying to get this job done. I looked at the header pipe temperatures with my thermal imaging camera, and number 3 was a bit cooler. I was like, well, that's weird, because if there was any sort of idle misfire, you know, bad idle, you'd expect it to be on the low compression cylinder. It transpires got a vacuum leak on number 3, so the rubber noggin where the cylinder head meets the carburetor, I took it off, looked at it, looked absolutely fine. You squeeze it, there was a split all the way through. Of course, fucking discontinued by Yamaha, can't get any, so I've washed it off with some brake cleaner and filled it up with super glue. Massive bodge, don't like bodging, want to use a new one, can't get one, but I need this thing out the door, and I can tell the guy, you know, this thing's got bigger problems than a split inlet manifold rubber. So, and consequently, of course, the carbs needed to be rebalanced because that number 3 cylinder was way out anyway, so it's back together, carbs are balanced, and it's like a, yeah, it's perfect. It's on 4 cylinders, ticking over lovely now. So we'll try again, get the tank on, get it out in the yard, and let's go road test it. Fucking hell, back again. So just on the yard here, putting the camera on the AFR meter for the road test. Excuse me. Whether we're seeing this or not. It's a bit lean at idle now. 17 to 1, too lean. So I'm just going to have a little bit of a tweak of the idle mixture screws, see if we can improve that before we ride it. Luckily, it's all quite easy to get at, which makes a change. Often these mixture screws are fucking impossible to get at. So we're at standard 2.5 turns out at the moment. Now I remember back in the day, hopefully you're hearing me over the row of this engine, that they were always a little bit lean when they were standard, but I wanted to start at that point. So I'm going to just go 1/4 of a turn more on each cylinder. You can actually, I don't know whether you can hear that on the camera, you can hear the engine notes starting to change. The RPM's just picked up slightly, which is a good sign. What's that doing? Yeah, look, that's coming down now. Coming down, as in getting richer. So obviously, we're only taking an average of all 4 cylinders at this point, so we're keeping the mixture screws the same number of turns out, if that makes sense. Some Yamahas, I think maybe even these, used to have blanking screws on the exhaust pipe, so you could do each individual cylinder. Anyway, won't go down that rabbit hole. So the engine notes changed, and we're almost at stoichiometric now, so an idle mixture ideally 14.7 to 1, and we're pretty fucking dead nuts on. So they're 2 3/4 out now, those screws. And it comes down to a nice idle. Right, let's get the tank back on and try again. Is it recording? I think it might be. Okay. Righty-ho. Right, okay guys, so let's have a bit of a recap. What the hell have we actually done to this bike? Even I'm starting to lose track. So, while we wait for this to warm up, nearly there. What have we done? What did it have wrong? What did we find? Block pilot jets, which would account for the mixture screws being miles too far out to get the right mixture. Blocked air, at least one blocked air jet in the carburetor. Absolutely jam solid air filter. An O-ring under one of those slide needles, which was a bit random. I'm thinking maybe that they were trying to account for the other thing that was wrong, which was the split inlet manifold rubber. Massive air leak there. Just sort of, it's a big long list, isn't it? And then obviously the elephant in the room is the low compression on number 2. So regardless of what happens on this road test, this is the end of me working on this motorbike, because I've spent way too long on it already. Idle mixtures, it's not hot anymore, but still a wee bit lean. Let's as it warms up, that'll come down slightly. Right, okay, let's see what happens, eh? Let's not drop the battery for the AFR on the road. Let's put me safety squints on. Right. Immediately I notice it just feels a bit crisper, you know, off idle, just revving it up. And the other thing I wanted to say before let's get this waffle over and done with before I ride, things like this throttle tube was a bit mushy to move, and I took the throttle tube off and there was sort of old grease and grime and mank under there, so I washed it all down with brake cleaner, you know, lubed it all nicely, restuck the grip because the grip felt a little bit loose on the throttle tube. And it's having things like that. This throttle snaps shut now and it's really light to use. Stuff like that can make a massive difference, you know. The devil really is in the detail. Right, let's look at this AFR as we go. It feels much nicer. It doesn't feel stumbly. Let's go a bit further. Lovely time of the year. I don't like all the wet leaves though, but I do like the way the countryside looks. Yeah, it's on that part throttle look where it's not digging itself into a big rich hole. I don't want to do it by here because the roads are slippy, but yeah, 12 point summit. No, you want to be under acceleration, you want to be down around sort of 13 to 1. Maybe 13.5 to 1. You want to be on the richer side when you're accelerating. Right, so start accelerating here. Yeah. Still rich, but much nicer to ride. Let's keep going a little bit. Let's just have a look at the idle mixture now. It's warmed a bit. Yeah, that's what we want to see. Look, 14.5, 14. I mean, that's dead nuts. Yeah, I'm happy with that. And it, yeah, what am I talking about? The throttle feels crisper. Yeah, it's not. It's still going down in it, 11 to 1. Let's get on this nice straight bit of road. Now there's a bit of heat in it, and see, typical, there's a load of cars coming. Let's see what it's like. Now it's hot. Yeah, when I give it the rice and get up on the throttle, what were you there, 13 to 1? Let's see what it's like on a cruise. Just crack the throttle, top gear. In fact, we're not in top, let's get it in top. I'm trying to keep an eye on these cars in front of me and look at this AFR meter. It's not the smartest thing. Yeah, we're 11, just over 11 to 1. Still a bit on the rich side. I want to get it up higher in the rev range really, and more throttle. Let me just hang back and let these cars get ahead of us. Because this is a good, oh, there's a bloody horse here. Let's just hang back a minute, there's nothing behind me. Let these cars get away, and then I'll creep up on this horse and then give it some. Not to frighten the horse, you understand, just get past the horse. Yeah, so coming up this hill on a little part throttle, what are we, 10, 11 to 1? It's way better than it was. Right, now I'm going to give it some. Watch the AFR. When you actually get up on the throttle, hard acceleration, it's exactly where it wants to be, about 13 to 1. It pulls cleaner than it was before. I'm absolutely staggered actually, given, where are we now on this hill? Sorry, I'm all over the place with this narration, aren't I? Yeah, 11 to, yeah, it's certainly acceptable. I think I'd like to titivate a bit more and drop those slide needles down, but I'm not doing that. Given its low compression on that one cylinder, there's no point in trying to do any more to this. I'm actually, yeah, I'm quite surprised it runs as well as it does with its low compression. I'm quite shocked. It revs cleanly, it ticks over nicely. Of course, you know, the crank's spinning a lot faster, isn't it, than when you're cranking it on, you know, on doing a compression test. Let's see what that idle mixture comes down to. Yeah, 14.5, that's absolutely perfect. I'm taking that as a win. Lovely smooth tick over, well happy with that. I think, guys, that's the end of this video. I can talk now, there's no wind noise. So thanks for watching. Do the whole like and subscribe thing. If you like this sort of content, please subscribe. It really does make a massive difference. And also there's a Discord group. You need to be a patron, so join the patron, $1 a month, and then we've got a patron which is like a chat group, and it's technical stuff. It's not really riding bikes related, but it's sharing service information and all that sort of thing. There's other guys in the group that, you know, do it for a living, so they're happy to share their knowledge with people. So it's a good place if you're interested in actually working on bikes and learning. Get yourself to become a patron and get on the Discord. It's turning into a really good group. I've just added a sort of a separate part to it where we all upload service information and workshop manuals, and then everybody gets a login, so you get access to all that sort of information, which is cool. Anyway, I'm going on. That's the end of this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching if you got this far, and I'll see you on the next one.